world champion. You're smiling.
Yeah.
I know it's tough out there, but how are you feeling right now?
Good. I only really came back to proper training winter of this season, so it's a good run. It's been a good comeback.
It has been a fantastic comeback. You've had a bit of time away from the sport, to come back and produce what you did here over the course of the last couple of days. What does that tell you?
That it was worth coming back. I joined up with the squad in Cork the first week of May, and I think I've gotten about 15 seconds faster since. So I'm on a good speed improvement curve. So hopefully I can keep that going and not get injured or sick or have any issues next year.
Because it is a big year, obviously, with Paris and the lightweights, there is a bit of strength in depth there as well. But, before I ask you about that, talk to me about the course here today, because a lot is made about those conditions. Like your last 500, you really put the boot in there. But prior to that, how tough was it?
Well, we all have to row in the same conditions anyway, so it's more that the race just takes longer. And I've always been very willing to go out in very rough conditions, because the other option is having to do erg, and I'll avoid doing erg if at all possible. So for me, and as well because I've been rowing for so long, I have a lot of experience in the rough conditions, so I won't get as stressed if something goes a bit off. I mean, I was having to pull myself back into my lane twice, pinballing back and forth down the course. So it is tough conditions for steering, but everybody else has to row in the same conditions, so it's not really that big an issue.
And what about the last 500 there? You really upped it then.
It's about 60 strokes, so you can count them.
But it was a great finish, because obviously it was quite tight up to then.
Well, I know that Sophia from Lucerne, I know that Sophia has quite a good second thousand, so I figured I would have to put in a good push at the end. I was actually expecting her to have more of a wind and to come back on me more like she did in her semi-final, because yesterday her semi-final was after mine, so I saw her last 500 and I saw her just rowing through in the last quarter, so there was a bit more incentive to make sure that I was pulling through.
And final question, you've taken a bit of time away from the sport, you've come back, world champion. What drove you, or what was the mindset as to that decision to come back into the sport?
It was more that it wasn't so much that I made a decision that I should come back, it was that I couldn't stay away any longer, because last season I started doing a little bit of rowing, and then I rowed a double with a girl from she's from Galway originally, but she's living in Dublin at the moment, Leah Coakley. And because Leah was coming to Galway every weekend to train in the double, since she was making that commitment, I had to up my training a bit, because if she was going to make that commitment, I should as well. And because I was able to get a decent improvement in speed just from doing that last year, that kind of made me feel like I could potentially actually come back.